She lied with her smile. He believed with his whole heart. When Helena Prestes first stepped into the spotlight, she radiated confidence. A model, a muse, a woman with millions of eyes watching her every move. And when she fell for rising tennis star Javier Martinez, the world cheered. Grande Fratello VIP turned them into a fairy tale. She called him her rock. He called her his forever. Their feeds were full of kisses, confessions, and curated love. But behind every perfect post, there was a message she forgot to delete. It started with a leak. An ex-boyfriend. A screenshot. Last night was just like before. You still know every inch of me. The name was blurred. The timestamp faded. But the words? They tore through the illusion. She denied everything. I love Javier. Stop the lies. But the internet doesn't forget. And the screenshots kept coming. He'll never love you like I did. Don't feel guilty. He's just your rebound. We both know this thing between us never ended. Suddenly, the queen of elegance looked more like a master manipulator. And Javier, the man who gave her everything, he was the last to find out. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's about deception so clean, it smelled like roses. It's about a man who defended her against the world, while she whispered in someone else's ear. This is the story of Helena Prestes, and how one woman's love story became another man's lesson. Because when betrayal hides behind beauty, no one sees it coming until it's already too late. Subscribe to Lies Unveiled to hear the truth they never post. Before the whispers, before the cracks, there was magic. Helena Prestes wasn't just a model. She was a movement. Brazilian roots, Paris runways, Italian elegance. She walked like poetry, smiled like summer, and spoke with a softness that made even critics lean in. Javier Martinez wasn't supposed to be her type. He was clean-cut, disciplined, a Spanish athlete who lived by routine and trained like a soldier. But love doesn't ask for permission. It collides. It explodes. And when they met on the set of Grande Fratello VIP, everything changed. He was quiet. She was dazzling. He watched her from across the set, unsure if he could even approach, until she laughed at his awkward Italian. That laugh? It was the beginning of a story that millions watched unfold in real time. Within weeks, they were inseparable, holding hands behind the scenes, whispering secrets in the kitchen, sneaking glances that made other contestants jealous. By the time the finale aired, Italy had crowned them its new golden couple. The press followed them like shadows. Fashion campaigns, magazine covers, talk show appearances. They weren't just a relationship. They were a brand. Helena posted, "You walked into my life when I didn't even know I needed saving. Now, I can't imagine a single day without your calm." And Javier responded with a repost that read, "Real love doesn't need noise. It just shows up every single day." They were dreamy. Too dreamy, maybe. Because perfection is a story we sell to strangers. And reality? It often starts cracking long before the smiles fade. But in those early days, even the cracks were invisible. All the world saw was the shine. Until Helena's past decided to show up again, uninvited and unforgiving. You can bury the past, but it has a way of clawing back through silk sheets and designer curtains. Helena thought she had outrun it. The rumors, the mistakes, the one man who refused to let go. His name wasn't public. Not yet. But those close to her, they knew. An ex. A ghost she never quite exorcised. He had been part of her life during her early modeling years. A photographer. Older. Charming. Dangerous in the kind of way that leaves bruises on the soul but none on the skin. When Javier asked about him, she said, "We were young. It was messy. He's history." And that was enough. For a while. But during their third month of dating, Javier started getting DMs from burner accounts, from people claiming they had receipts, screenshots, videos, dates that didn't align. He showed Helena one of them. She barely blinked. He's obsessed. He made those deep fakes. Don't believe it. And Javier believed, because that's what love does. It wants to believe. The noise kept growing, but every time, Helena had a story ready, a distraction, a deflection, until it all went quiet. As if the past had finally tired of knocking, they moved in together. They started planning a future, a brand deal in Spain, a charity gala in Paris, a summer campaign in Bali. But silence doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it just means the storm is waiting. And Helena's storm wasn't done. Because the man she swore was history, he wasn't just a ghost. He was an archivist. And he had every message, every moment, every lie saved, waiting. The first leak didn't come from a tabloid. It came from a Telegram channel. Anonymous. Raw. Ruthless. Someone uploaded a zip file titled Helena _P _2018-222 _do _not_share. But of course, it was shared. Within hours, the internet exploded. It wasn't just texts. It was videos, recordings, selfies. Some dated just months before her relationship with Javier began. Some shockingly during. Helena kissing a man in Milan. Helena calling Javier a phase. Helena confessing to the camera, "He thinks I'm his piece. He doesn't know he's my cover." Twitter turned into a bonfire. Instagram flooded with snake emojis. YouTube channels rushed out reaction videos titled, Helena Prestes Exposed. Did Javier know? Another influencer love lie. Javier didn't speak. For days. No statements. No tweets. Not even a story. Just silence. But silence in this age? It's not absence. It's pressure building behind the dam. And then, one night, Javier posted a single image. Black screen. White text. When someone builds their brand on your heart, don't be surprised when the collapse goes viral. It was quiet. It was poetic. And it said everything. Fans rallied behind him. Hashtag Justice for Javier trended across Europe. Even celebrities dropped cryptic support posts. Meanwhile, Helena vanished. No posts. No press. No interviews. But the damage was done. The illusion? Shattered. The fairy tale? Burning. And the ghost she thought she buried? He hadn't just haunted her. He documented her. Every word. Every moment. Every betrayal. 3 weeks. That's how long Helena stayed offline. No posts. No appearances. No explanations. For the internet, that silence was guilt. But for Helena, it was grief. Grief for a life carefully crafted, now reduced to viral snippets and public speculation. Then out of nowhere she returned. One story. White background. Black text. Let me speak. One time. Then you can go back to hating me. The world paused. Millions watched. That night, she uploaded a 22-minute video titled, This Is Not an Excuse. She sat alone. No glam squad. No filters. Just raw Helena. Eyes swollen. Voice steady. Tone stripped of performance. She began, I lied. Not just to Javier. Not just to fans. But to myself, she didn't deny the leaks. She confirmed most of them. But she reframed the story. She spoke of trauma, of manipulation by the photographer, who allegedly coerced her. He didn't let me leave easily. And when I finally did, he made sure no one else would trust me again. She detailed how he'd threatened to ruin her name if she ever betrayed him publicly. So I played perfect. For survival, I smiled for cameras. I posted Javier's hand holding mine, hoping it would keep the past away. She admitted she wasn't ready for real love when Javier came along. He was the calm I didn't know how to live in. So I hid in chaos. But the most heartbreaking line? When you're used to pain, peace feels suspicious. And I hurt the one person who only ever offered me safety. She ended the video without begging for forgiveness. No tears. Just a final sentence. I don't expect redemption. I just needed to finally stop pretending. The comments were split. Some called her brave, others manipulative. But one thing was clear. The narrative had shifted. This wasn't just a cheating scandal. It was a reckoning. Of love. Of power. Of pain passed down like inheritance. The world waited. After Helena's video dropped, it wasn't just the public watching brands. Tabloids, exes, allies, and enemies all had eyes on one man. Javier. Would he respond? Would he forgive? Would he say anything at all? For a week, his account remained silent. No reposts. No likes. No quiet signals. Then one morning, a photo appeared. A sunrise. Soft light spilling over calm water. The caption, "Peace isn't silence. It's knowing what not to bring with you into tomorrow." People speculated. Was this closure? Was this hope? But a day later, a longer post followed, to everyone asking, "No, I haven't spoken to her. Yes, I saw the video. Yes, I felt every word. I know what it's like to carry pain that doesn't belong to you. And I know what it's like to give love to someone who doesn't know how to hold it. But I also know this. Healing doesn't always come with reconciliation. Sometimes it just means not breaking in the same places twice." It was the kind of statement only someone deeply wounded, but still dignified, could write. Helena liked the post. No comment. No DM. Just that small click. And Javier? He didn't like it back. He didn't follow her again. He didn't reply. But he didn't block her either. Because sometimes closure isn't a slammed door. Sometimes it's a slow, quiet walk away. Behind the scenes, brands were still trying to get him to spin the story. Crisis PR teams reached out. Offers flooded in. But Javier refused. He turned down documentaries, magazine exclusives, podcast deals. He went back to basics. Back to his art. His nonprofit. His quiet. When asked by a journalist at a gala if he'd ever speak on the relationship again, he smiled and said, "Some things lose their power when you stop feeding them." And just like that, Javier reminded the world, this was never about fame. It was about heartbreak and healing. If love is the performance, then the audience is always watching. And in the age of digital memory, they never forget. After both Helena and Javier had spoken, the public split like glass under pressure. Some praised Helena's vulnerability. She owned it. She was manipulated and hurt too. People grow. Others stood by Javier. He gave her everything. She used his heart like a marketing tool. Accountability isn't a sob story. Comment sections became war zones. Influencers took sides. Podcasts debated. Reaction videos dissected every sentence. But beneath the noise was something more human. People saw themselves. In Javier's quiet grief. in Helena's broken apology, in the messages of trying to love while still healing from what came before, brands began to adapt. Habir's nonprofit saw a 40% increase in donations. Helena lost several sponsorships, but gained new ones from platforms that celebrated transparency and redemption arcs. A Netflix producer publicly hinted at a docu-series, influence and intimacy, when love goes viral. Even late-night hosts chimed in some joking, others offering solidarity. But the most telling moment came from a stranger. A girl from Brazil posted a TikTok. We all want a Javier. But truth is, most of us have been a Helena at some point, just trying to be loved while battling our own ghosts. The video hit 10 million views in 48 hours. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was honest. And maybe, just maybe, that's what people really want now. Not perfect stories, but human ones. Scandal fades, but the echoes remain. Months passed. Helena moved out of the spotlight. No red carpets, no sponsored trips. She went back to Brazil, to the small town she hadn't visited in nearly a decade. There, she stayed with her grandmother, away from the noise, the glare, and the algorithms. She started volunteering at a local arts program for girls, spoke softly about resilience, taught them how to pose, but more importantly, how to stand. Sometimes she still got recognized. Sometimes she still got judged. But slowly, the stares softened, and she began living a life that wasn't curated. Meanwhile, Javier quietly launched a creative retreat for young men, focused on emotional expression, healing, telling their stories without shame. He never mentioned Helena, not once, but her name lived between the lines, in the way he urged them to love bravely but wisely. One day, someone asked him during a Q&A, "Would you ever take her back?" He smiled, thought about it. Sometimes the people who break you are the ones who teach you how to rebuild differently. I'm grateful for the lesson. But no, I don't go backwards. The room went quiet, and that silence said more than any apology ever could. The final chapter of their story wasn't dramatic. No second betrayal. No surprise reunion. Just two people who once loved each other deeply, and then let go. Because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the gentle decision to walk away from what almost destroyed you and not look back. And in that soft exit, both Helena and Javier found something rare. Not redemption, but peace.